Today, I'm going to teach you something that can completely shift how you experience love after herpes. And no, this isn't about dating tips or how to tell someone you actually have herpes. This is about why love suddenly feels impossible, why you feel like you're standing on the outside of your own life, and how to get back to a place where love doesn't feel out of reach anymore. Because once you understand the love frequency, everything starts to change, and the things that you desire start showing up in your life. Hi, I'm Dupree, and I help people to navigate life with herpes. For those that are new here, welcome, and if you're returning, welcome back. Today's episode is a little different from what we usually talk about because we're not focusing on dating or how to tell someone you have herpes. We're going to talk about a concept you've probably never heard before, but it's something that becomes super important after you get diagnosed. It's called the love frequency. Now, you may be saying to yourself, like, what the hell is that? And I get it. It may sound a little out there at first, but I encourage you to stay with me because if you truly want to move forward, if you want to release the anxiety you feel, reconnect with yourself, and eventually let love back into your life, this is something you need to hear. A herpes diagnosis hits your confidence in a way that nothing else really does. It makes you feel like the whole idea of love is suddenly off limits. Like everyone else gets to have it except for you. And that feeling doesn't come from actually having herpes. It comes from the stories you start telling yourself after you get the news. When I found out, I was friggin' devastated. Even though I chose to be in a relationship with someone who has herpes, no one wants or deserves to get it, regardless of the relationship choices they make. Nonetheless, I beat myself up for years. And just like many of you, I thought that my love life was over. I started seeing myself differently, and I questioned not only the decision to be in that relationship, but also my self-worth. And I felt so undesirable. Maybe you felt that too. And this is where the disconnection actually begins. It's not that the chance of love is gone. It's that you stopped feeling connected to yourself as if a part of you died in some way. And when that happens, what you imagined for your life feels totally out of reach. You start to close yourself off from people. You stop going out, and you even stop dating because you think, why bother, right? And when you shut down like that, love feels so far away, even though it's literally everywhere around you. Now, when I talk about the love frequency, I'm not talking about romance or soulmates or some magical person entering into your life. I'm talking about a state inside of you, a way of being. I'm sure some of you are familiar with the teachings of Abraham Hicks. And for those of you who aren't, Abraham Hicks is the name used for a set of teachings channeled through a woman named Esther Hicks. She talks about emotional well-being, mindset, and the law of attraction, and how to shift your energy so that you feel better. The reason why I'm bringing her up is because her teachings were instrumental for me when I was trying to get to a peaceful place with my diagnosis. And honestly, they still help me today. And in one of her videos, she said something that really stuck with me. The way that you feel, the emotional tone you live in, that literally determines what you notice, what you attract, and what you experience. So when I talk about the love frequency, I'm not talking about being in love with someone. It's the emotional space you hold inside yourself where love becomes possible again. Let me give you a real example of what I mean. Have you ever had those days where you're not overthinking every little thing? You're not replaying your diagnosis in your mind. You're not questioning your worth. You're just living out your life, making your coffee or going to work or minding your business. And on those days, you're not closed off. You're not in your head and you're not bracing for someone to judge you. You're just present. And when you're present, you naturally feel more open without trying. Things just flow. Life feels easier and you're not fighting yourself every second. Well, that's the love frequency. It's not forced. It's not you trying to be positive. It's just you being you without shutting yourself down. Most people lose access to the love frequency because they're stuck in the past, replaying every painful moment, or they're stuck in the future, imagining every worst case scenario of what might happen when they tell someone they have herpes. That kind of thinking pulls you out of the love frequency. It disconnects you from the part of yourself that can actually receive the things that you want. And trust me, the love frequency isn't about pretending life is perfect or about always having good vibes or staying peaceful every second. What it is, though, is it's a place from within where your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions come from a calmer frame of mind than a panicked one. It's a grounded place instead of a fearful one. Look, herpes stirs up a lot of emotion. Fear, confusion, embarrassment, all of it. I'm not denying that. But there comes a point where you have to ask yourself, are you going to allow yourself to remain stuck in that thinking? Or are you going to break free and start moving forward with your life? The love frequency is that way forward. It's the moment that you stop letting your diagnosis take over your emotions and dictate all of the decisions you make. It's saying to yourself, okay, I have herpes, and then choosing how you want the rest of your life to feel and to play out. Look, most people with herpes rehearse rejection in their mind all day long, like a broken record. They rehearse abandonment and even worst case scenarios too. Hell, I've done that more times than I can count. But the love frequency is where you start rehearsing the good stuff. And I'm talking about real possibilities here, not just fantasies. Things like love is possible, connection is possible, and having an amazing life is also possible. And if you decide none of that is possible, then yeah, it's not going to show up because you're choosing not to let it. And this goes right back to what Abraham Hicks said that I mentioned earlier. Your emotional tone decides what you notice and what you attract. Think of every emotion like its own radio station. Fear is its own station. Shame is its own station. Panic, doubt, self-judgment, they're all just stations. And if that's what you tune into, that's all you're going to hear. Your mind will start playing fear-based thoughts on repeat. You'll start believing them because you've heard them over and over again. You know, just like the same way you accidentally memorize a song that you never meant to like. But here's the part a lot of people forget. Good emotions have stations too. Courage has a station. Confidence has a station. Self-respect has a station. And so does possibility and self-love. And when you turn the dial in your mind to those stations, even slightly, you start hearing different thoughts, you start feeling different things, and you start memorizing different emotional patterns. That's how you get closer to the love frequency. Not by forcing yourself, but by choosing what station you're going to listen to. Because you can't live in fear all day and expect to feel loved at night. And you can't talk to yourself like you're broken and then wonder why nothing ever feels right. You can't control who accepts you. You can't control who stays or goes. But you can control the emotional place you're coming from. People respond to that, and most importantly, energy and life responds to that too. But let me be very clear. The love frequency isn't about pretending you're okay. It's about choosing not to drown in emotional negativity anymore. It's a choice you make every day, sometimes every hour, to remind yourself that your life is bigger than your diagnosis. It's about becoming someone who isn't closed off or guarded anymore. And once you stop blocking yourself, connection within yourself and others happens naturally and easily. So, now that you know what the love frequency actually is, the next question is, how do you actually get into it? Well, here's 3 things that you can do right now to start tuning into it. 1, catch the station you are on. When you notice your mind spiraling into fear, unworthiness, or worst case scenarios, take a moment to pause, breathe, and quietly say to yourself, wrong station. Why does this work? Because it creates a pattern interruption to the old frequency you're on and snaps you out of unconscious thinking in an instant. 2, switch the station. This is the moment where you choose a positive station instead. It's like something similar to affirmations, but here's the thing. Traditional I am affirmations like I am lovable or I am worthy can backfire if you don't believe them in the moment. Your brain will literally jump in with, no, you're not, and bam, like you're right back on the wrong station. But when you switch up those statements just a little bit and you use different words, your mind processes them differently and it becomes easier to believe them. And that's when change is created. Try things like, I deserve love. I'm becoming stronger each day. Love is possible for me. Or I feel hopeful. All these emotional redirects help you to tune into a new frequency, the one that aligns with the person you're becoming, and not the person fear convinced you that you were. And 3, notice something good that's happening in your life right now. Most people with herpes forget about the good stuff because they're too busy thinking about their diagnosis. I know I did. I was constantly tuning into the wrong station and completely missing what was right in front of me. There's a quote by Eckhart Tolle that totally nails this. He said, realize deeply that the present moment is all you ever have. And this couldn't be more true. When you're stuck replaying the past or worrying about your future, you miss the moments that are actually happening now, right in front of you. Moments that feel good. Ones that can shift your entire day. Ones that remind you that life doesn't stop just because you got diagnosed. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to notice one thing, just one, that feels good in this moment. I want you to really feel it, especially in your heart space, and hold it there for about 5 seconds or even longer if you'd like. It could be something as simple as how amazing your coffee tastes or the warm sun on your face. Maybe you had a great time hanging out with some friends, or heck, maybe you had an amazing hair day. Who knows, whatever it is. But you know what doing this does? It puts you in a state of gratitude for what you have right now. Not what you had in the past or what you may think you may have or may not have in the future, but right now, because all we have is now. And when you live in the now, you tune into and align with the love frequency. And when this happens, your entire energy shifts without you even trying. And instead of chasing love, love starts finding you. Inside of you first, and then everywhere else in your life. Well, that's all I have for today. If you liked today's episode, go ahead and hit like and subscribe. It helps us to keep creating this content, it helps the channel to grow, and it makes it easier for others who need this type of support to find it. Also remember to join our herpes community by downloading the Herpes Wellness app. The link for both the App Store and in Google Play is in the description box below. And if you're liking this podcast so far, or if there's something specific you'd like for me to talk about, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you the next time on the Herpes Wellness Podcast. Bye for now.